Hi there, and welcome to the Salt and Pepper, where we cook for real life using real food and we keep it real simple. And today, I have to be honest, I'm a little bit scared. What I have here is 2 boneless prime rib roast and 2 6.5 Ninja Foodies, and I'm going to compare 2 different cooking methods. So one we're gonna pressure cook, and the other one we're gonna use the TenderCrisp lid only. So I'm afraid because honestly, these are so expensive. I did not test this out. We are gonna learn this together. Which one is better? Which one is right for you to do? Which one's quicker? And most importantly, which one tastes better? So we're about to find out. So I've been cooking prime rib for years and years and years, and I always use my oven, and I always use the closed door oven method. It's the one that works the best in my opinion, and it's kind of like set it and forget it. So to do that, it's super easy. Just preheat your oven for about 15 minutes or so at 500. This is a regular oven at 500 degrees, and then put your prime rib in after you seasoned it up. Let it cook for 5 minutes per pound at that high temperature, and then just turn the oven off. Don't open the door, and wait about 2 to 2.5 hours, and your roast will be perfect. And it works for me every time. But now I'm gonna see how well the Ninja Foodi matches up to my tried and true oven method. And we're gonna use pressure cook for one and TenderCrisp lid for the other one. But I'm gonna prep them exactly the same. For this recipe, or techniques, I should say, it's not really a recipe, I am not gonna sear either one. And ordinarily, if I was gonna cook something under pressure, I would probably sear the meat first. That's my preferred way of doing it. But for this, I'm not going to, because after I pressure cook, I do wanna use the crisping lid to crisp up the fat on the outside and get that crust, or at least I'm gonna try. So that's how I'm gonna do it, but you can certainly sear your meat prior to this and then proceed with the recipe. So what I'm gonna use to prepare this is garlic cloves that I'm gonna make slits in the fat and kind of insert them down into the meat. I'm gonna use some onion, some rosemary, and just salt and pepper. And that is all I'm gonna use. In the pressure cooking one, I'm gonna use some beef broth. You could use a combination of wine and beef broth. You could put all your aromatics in the bottom and not worry about, getting the cloves into the meat. But I want the preparation to be as identical as I can for both cooking methods, so we can see at the end which one did a better job, which one tastes better, and we don't have so many variables. All right, so what I have here is 1 bulb of garlic that I just split in about 2 equal portions. And then I'm just gonna take my knife here, this is a fillet knife, and I'm just gonna make some slits into the fat here. It goes down maybe about 1/2 inch or so. And if I need to cut these, I will, but usually you can just push them right in, and that's what I'm gonna do. They're whole cloves of garlic. I didn't smash them or anything. And again, this is totally optional. You do not need to do this. Now this one's kind of big, so I'm gonna cut this guy in half here. See if I can get him in there. I don't think I made my slit big enough for this one. Anyway, we'll push it in there. Sometimes that happens. I could redo the slit, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go to another spot. So I'm going to put probably about, 5 or 6 here in the top. And what this does is just infuse some flavor into the meat. It is totally optional though. That one actually could probably fit too, but I'm not going to, there we go. That'll work out. Now these are boneless prime rib roast. I would have preferred to have the bone in, but they are so hard to find where I live that I just basically had to take what I could get. So these are boneless. I prefer the bone in though. The technique and timing would be about the same, but you might need to increase the time just a little bit for the bone in. All right, that looks good. All right, let's do that for the other one that's gonna be pressure cooked. Just go into the fat here. Okay, all the garlic is in, and I did want to mention that these 2 cuts of meat are about 3 pounds each. You would want to use this timing for anything that's 3 pounds, and I will try to work up a little formula so that you could use it if you had a bigger roast or not. Probably 4 to 6 pounds would work okay in the Ninja Foodi. Anything bigger than that, and you're going to run into some issues, I think. So if you want to do a small rib roast, or this one was actually 1 rib roast that was about 6 pounds, and I just cut it in half. So you could do that too. So you could end up doing, if you had a larger one, you could do them at separate times and do 2 of them. All right, so now that I have gotten all the garlic in, I'm gonna go ahead and season liberally, and I'm just using salt and pepper. And what I'm using for this is 1 tablespoon of salt and 1/2 tablespoon of pepper. And the pepper that I'm using is a restaurant grind pepper, so it's a little bit coarser. You could use fresh cracked pepper, or you could even use just regular black pepper, whichever you prefer is fine. And I do the 2-to-1 ratio a lot when I'm doing rubs on meats. I think it's a nice balance of the salt and the pepper. You don't have to use this much. I may not even use this much. The idea is to get it liberally all over the meat so that you flavor everything. And I encourage you to rub it in. And you can even do this the day before and leave it in the refrigerator overnight. That works really well. And the other thing that you can do is when you get your rib roast home from the grocery store and you know you're going to cook it the next day, you can unwrap it and leave it in the refrigerator unwrapped. That helps to dry out the skin and really does help to develop a nice crust. Now I'm going to season all over the front and the back and the sides with this rub. Little bit less on the sides of the meat because that's where you're going to be serving it, and you don't want a whole bunch of that in every single bite. So when you do it this way, it kind of goes, it doesn't concentrate it. But I am going to season it just a little bit, but lightly on the sides, heavier on the top and the bottom. All right, that looks good. And I used almost all of it. I'll do the same with this one. These are beautiful, by the way. Nice marbling going on, nice bit of fat on the top. I did not trim them at all. You want the fat on the top. All right, so I'm gonna clean up here and then we're gonna get both of these in to the Ninja Foodies to cook. This one's gonna go under pressure and this one I'm gonna use the TenderCrisp lid. All right, so the first thing I wanna do is get the Ninja Foodi preheated, so I'm gonna turn it on. And we're gonna go to broil, and 10 minutes is fine, and we're gonna let it preheat. Now, I don't have the rack in. Ordinarily, I would say preheat with the rack in, but I don't have it there because I wanna lay some of the rosemary and the onions on the rack for the roast to sit on. And so I'm gonna do that right now. Get that all ready. So I just have a few sprigs of fresh rosemary, and I'm just gonna put them on the rack here so that they lay under the meat. And they're gonna infuse some flavor into the meat, but they're also going to infuse flavor into the juices. These that I actually cut too small, I won't use on this rack here. And that looks good. And then some onions. These onions and stuff will probably end up falling through the racks, but that is not gonna matter because there will be some juices that come out of the prime rib, and those we will use to make some au jus. All right, so we're gonna let that go and heat up for the 10 minutes, and let's get our pressure cooking one ready to go. So I'm gonna open this up here, and what I'm gonna use for the broth is 1 cup of just beef broth. Not even beef stock, just beef broth, not even beef bone broth, just plain old beef broth. But you could use bone broth, that would be fine as well. And then we also have a rack here, and I'm gonna do the same thing with this One, we're trying to keep things pretty even. Now you could also just throw all of this in the bottom of the pot, but just because I want to compare as much, apples to apples, so to speak, I want to do the preparation about the same for both of these roasts. Some of them are falling through, and that's fine. Then they can go right into the broth, no big deal. All right, put this there. All right, you know what? I'm going to grab another sprig of rosemary just so we're more even here because I have a little bit more under this one. So I'm going to grab another sprig, put that on. We'll get this on the rack, and then we'll get it into the Ninja Foodi to pressure cook. All right, so a little extra rosemary there, and then we're going to get this on the rack too, and we're going to put it into the Ninja Foodi to pressure cook, and I'm only going to pressure cook this for 3 minutes, and that is amazing, right? 3 minutes. But time to pressure, it's probably going to be about 8 minutes time to pressure, 3 minutes cook, and then we need to leave it alone for a full natural release, and then we will crisp up the top and we'll see how it works. Because if you would have asked me about a month or two ago if I would have ever pressure cooked a prime rib, I would have said no way. But you know what? I just got to thinking about it and thought, if you do a short pressure cook time and you really infuse all those flavors into the meat, it could actually turn out better than just the air crisping or broiling or whatever you choose to do using the TenderCrisp lid. So I thought, I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. If it's horrible, I'll let you know, and that way you won't waste your time or money trying it. Let's get the pressure lid on, and we're going to turn the Ninja Foodi on, and we're going to go to pressure. We want high, but we want to go to 3 minutes and hit the start button. Make sure the valve is on seal in the back. All right, so we want this to pressure cook for 3 minutes, and then we're going to let it completely natural release. Now, depending on how long that takes, I may actually leave the prime rib in the pressure cooker for a longer period of time, and I will certainly let you know after I time how long it takes to natural release this. All right, so in just about a minute, I'm gonna get this prime rib in, and we're gonna broil for 20 minutes. Then I'm gonna bake roast. I'm gonna drop that temperature all the way down to the lowest setting of bake roast, which is 250 degrees, and we're gonna go another 20 to 30 minutes, and I will be temping it because I want my prime rib a perfect medium rare. All right, let's get it in. Now, we don't need any liquid in the bottom at all for this, but you could put some in. But I think it would just steam a little bit and it would end up evaporating. So we're not going to worry about that. All right, so broil. And we want to go to 20 minutes and hit the start button. All right, so let me clean up and then we will find out which one worked out better. I don't know yet. I can't wait to find out though. All right, so we just have about 30 seconds to go on the prime rib that we are using the TenderCrisp lid only for. We've been broiling for 20 minutes and it smells so good in here. I can't even begin to describe it. It is wonderful. Now what I'm gonna do is resist the urge. I want to open the lid, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to switch functions to bake roast and take it down to 250 degrees, and I'm gonna go 10 more minutes and then I will check a temp. Okay, all the way down to 250, and the time is gonna be 10 minutes and hit start. Don't open the lid. Resist the urge. Yes, I want to check a temp right now, but I don't want the heat to come out, and so I'm just going to do this and just just cross fingers and hope that it turns out perfectly. Now, as far as the one that we're pressure cooking, it took about 9 minutes to come up to pressure. Now, I used room temperature beef broth. So if you're using beef broth right out of the fridge, it might take 10 or 11 minutes to come up to pressure. That is not going to make a huge difference in this recipe, so don't worry about that. But I did use room temperature. So after that, we cooked it. We pressure cooked on high for 3 minutes. And now it has been releasing the pressure, which that has completely happened. The pin is down. That only took about 10 minutes. And now we are just on the keep warm. And I'm going to leave it like that until about 15 minutes goes by. So just another couple minutes. And then I'm going to open up the pressure lid, and then we're going to start to broil it to get that crust developed on the top. And we will take a temperature so I'll know how long we have to broil it. So right now, I would say these two are kind of neck and neck as far as time goes. This one will be done about the same time. So doesn't seem like there's really much time savings either method. So it's all going to boil down to which one tastes better. And I cannot wait to find out. All right, so it has been 15 minutes of natural release or keep warm because the pin is already dropped. So we can definitely open up the lid now, and I'm going to give it a quick temp. Well, it smells amazing. Now, as far as the way it looks, not as pretty as I'm used to. So let's see if we can fix that. But let's go ahead and get a temp right in the center. And the temp right now is only 57 degrees. That is low, guys. So out here on the edge, we're a little bit higher, but that's too low. So you know what? We need to put this lid back on, and it just needs to sit on the keep warm. We're going to go another 10 minutes with the lid on, just trapping that steam in there. Because I do want it to come up to at least 100 degrees before we start the air crisping, or we're just going to end up burning the top before we cook the meat all the way through. Maybe 3 minutes was not quite long enough, but anyway, that's why I do these tests, so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I do, and I will give you all my thoughts about time and temperature and all that kind of stuff after we see how these come out. All right, so the keep warm has been on. Of course, we don't have any more pressure. We have already checked. We've already temped. It was pretty low temp. I was kind of shocked. So we're just going to leave it alone, and I'm going to let this go to 25 minutes before I open the lid, and then I will get the crisping lid down, and we will crisp up that fat on top and see how it goes. And then for this one, we just have about a minute left, and then I get to finally look. And I have really resisted the urge. I want to open this up and temp it so many times, but I've resisted the urge, and I'm just hoping that it is not overcooked, but I don't think it will be. So just a few more seconds, and then we will get to see it and temp it. And then we'll make a decision whether or not I go back under the bake roast at 250, or do I just let it sit in the pot for a little bit with the heat in there and let the residual heat finish cooking it. That'll depend on what temperature I get. So I really recommend that you pick up a meat thermometer or a thermometer like this, which is an Insta-Read. This one is like $20 or less in my Amazon store. And so far it's been pretty accurate and has worked pretty well. Oh, here we go. It smells amazing, but I'll tell you, I'm nervous about this one. I mean, the last thing you want to do is ruin an expensive cut of meat like this. And if I overcook it, I'll consider that I ruined it. But you know what? I will make it into something else delicious, so it will not go to waste, that is for sure. All right, let's do this. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Oh, it's gorgeous. And we are at 75 degrees on the way inside. So I did not overcook it. That is good. Oh my gosh, this, just based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be in the corner here of doing it just like that. But we need to go a little bit longer. And because it is so low, I am going to go back on the bake roast, and I'm going to take the temp all the way down again to 250. And I'm going to go just 10 more minutes. So now we've had 20 minutes of broil, 15 minutes at the low bake roast, and now we're going to go another 10 minutes. So that'll be a total of 55 minutes total cook time. So we may be catching up with this one may not take as long. So then we'll have some time savings. And that's why I thought it was going to be fun to compare these two. So just a few more minutes, I'm going to let this go, and then I will get the crisping lid down. And let's see if we can get this one to look as beautiful as this one. And I'm not sure, that's what we're trying out here. See which one works out better. All right, so it's been just about 25 minutes total, and we're gonna go ahead and take the lid off and temp it. And even if it's not up to temperature, I am gonna go with the TenderCrisp lid now, or the TenderCrisp lid now, and broil it to try to get it crisped up on top. So we'll see what temp we have. All right. Oh, look at that steam though. That's looking good. All right, let's see. We are at about 82 degrees. You know what? I think I can go a little bit longer. I'm just getting nervous now. But no, I'm not going to second guess myself. I've thought this out. Even though I'm trying it out on camera for the first time, I did give this a lot of thought. And because I really want to crisp up all this fat on the top, I'm not going to second guess. I'm going to go ahead and go to the broil. So now let's go to the broil function. And we'll start with 10 minutes. And we'll see how that does to crisp up the top. Meanwhile, we've got another 6 minutes. Now, it's okay. We could temp this one as well if we wanted to. I'm trying to think if I want to. You know what? I might do it, but let me clean my thermometer real quick. All right, let's go ahead and temp it. I probably shouldn't, but I'm just so worried about overcooking it. That is the worst thing that could happen, so I don't want that. So I'm just going to temp it once really quick. We're still in the 90s. We need to keep going. No problem. But I did it really, really quick. So hopefully this will work out. And I could probably even go up on a higher temperature. I mean, I'm kind of shocked at this one. I thought it would be a little bit more done by now. But anyway, I'm not going to rush it because I want prime rib to be perfect. I want it to be absolutely delicious. And it doesn't matter to me if it takes a little bit of time. All right, so we have just finished that 10-minute broil, and we're gonna check it again and see what the temp is, and then determine, do we need to go another 10 minutes? I kind of feel like we probably do, but we'll see. We'll see how this the fat is looking like on top too. Well, it's looking a lot better, that's for sure. So it's pretty. I can tell it's really nice and juicy, but let's go ahead and get a temp here. And we are at about 95 degrees, so we do need to go longer, and I'm happy about that, because I want that fat to render a little bit more and crisp up and create that crust. So I'm actually happy that it did not cook more than it did. So we're gonna go back on broil for 10 minutes and just hit the start button. All right, so we just have a few more seconds left of that second bake roast that we did. We're still at the low temperature of 250, and we're gonna give it another temp and see where we are and see what we need to do, if we need to keep going or if we're ready to bring it out and let it rest. All right, let's take a temp. It looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I am at about 110. So you know what? We are almost there. I'm gonna go another 5 minutes. And I'm still gonna keep it on the low temp. I don't want the outside to burn. That's why I'm dropping it down. So we want the center just to cook a little bit more, but we don't want the outside to get any darker or any more crispy, because it is done. It looks gorgeous. So we'll go 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna bring it out and we're gonna let it rest for about 15. And then we get to carve it and see what it looks like inside and how it tastes. I am really excited for this. And I really cannot wait to see which one is better. All right, just about 30 seconds to go. And then I'm gonna do another temp on this guy and see if he's ready to come out. I'm thinking so though. That's would be my educated guess, is that he's ready. And really, if he's anywhere between 118 to 122, I'm taking him out, let him rest, and it'll come back up to temperature, or it'll continue to cook internally as it rests, and then it'll be a perfect medium rare, because I know the outsides are already done. All right, here we go. Again, it just looks gorgeous. And I'm just gonna go right in there. And yes, I am getting about 118. So I'm gonna go ahead and take them out. I do not want to overcook this. And I will just let it rest. There, it looks absolutely gorgeous, I have to say, really gorgeous. And there's a little bit of fat down in the bottom. I'm not thinking that it would be anything I would really make anything out of, though, to be honest with you. There's just not enough of the juices. It all looks like it's just fat. So I don't think I would really do anything with that. But you could make a little gravy for sure if you wanted to. All right, just a few seconds to go here, and then I'm gonna do a temp. And we're still kind of neck and neck. I mean, I did remove this one a few minutes ago, so really, if this one's done, the pressure cooked one is done, I would say that they're equal times, really. A few minutes difference, but not enough to really worry about. All right, let's check a temperature and see how it's coming along. Now, it's not as beautiful as the other one, but it is looking more comparable now. The areas that's not crisping is this back end a little bit here, but I'm not going to worry about that. If the temperature is what I want it to be, then that is what I'm going to go with. Now, I'm getting a reading of about 105 in the middle there, and then 118 towards the end over here. And about 115. So we're not quite ready. We're going to have to go another 10 minutes. But you know what I'm going to do? Is I'm going to try to help this back end along a little bit if I can. See if I can no, I can't really. I was going to say if I could lift it up so it was closer, but I really can't. I'm just going to move it so maybe the fan will hit back there and start to render that fat out a little bit more. And we're going to go another 10 minutes. So at this point, the pressure cook time probably could have gone up a little bit, from 3 to 5 minutes, I would say. And then we would have less time doing this. But then again, we wouldn't get the crispiness on the top. So I'm not sure. I'll be anxious to see which one tastes better as far as the texture of the meat goes. So which one is more tender. And that'll probably determine which method I would do again. You know, right now I'm leaning towards this one, honestly. But it is more familiar to me and what I know because it's similar to the oven. So unless this meat tastes really, really good and is a lot more tender, I'm probably leaning towards this method. But only time will tell. So we'll wait. We'll go another 10 minutes, and then we will bring this guy out, let him rest too, and then we'll get to tasting. All right, so we just have about a little less than 10 seconds left to go. And then we're going to let it go through the little cool down period, which just takes a few seconds, and then I will do a final temp. But I think we're ready to come out, and I'll get it out, and we'll let both of them rest for at least 15 minutes, and then I will cut them. All right, now this is really rendered much more than before, but I'm also seeing that there is some burning right here just from being so close in proximity. But it looks great, and it's at 120. It was like 122. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out and let it rest. I would rather it be under than over. You know me. I always say undercook, don't overcook. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this out. All right, looks good. Looks really good. Now I can notice a difference right away, honestly, and that is the size. So this one has lost more size than this one, and that could be, and I'm thinking it's because of the pressure cook, putting more moisture into the meat, and because we let it natural release for so long that it didn't come back out. So I'll be really interested to see. Both look good. Visually, this one's prettier, honestly. But they both look good, and wait 15 minutes and then we'll cut them and see which one tastes better. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Which one has the better flavor and which one has the better texture. All right, so in this one, we only have fat down in the bottom where we just air crisped. That's not something that I would even use. I don't eat gravy with my prime rib, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. But because we started out with stock in this one, we do have some juice there and some stock, and I'm gonna go ahead and pour that out and see if it's a tasty au jus. All right, oops, so let me get this out here. Just put it down. Now on the rack, of course, the onions and rosemary and all that stuff, they're kind of all shriveled up. That's to be expected. Those onions, though, I've already tasted one. They are delicious. And now I'm just gonna take this and strain it out. All right, there we go. So I'll taste a little bit of this. Now I can see a lot of fat. That just isn't really my thing. I would probably let this cool down and get some of the fat off the top. But for you guys, I'm gonna taste it with the one that's pressure cooked, since this is a little bit of an added advantage. But boy, you can really tell the amount of fat that came off. Look at that. And then these, oh my gosh, these are so good. They look burnt, but they taste delicious. Yummy. I'll tell you, I might lay some rosemary underneath of slices of onion and roast them like this till they're nice and crispy, because these are just as good as onion rings. I think they're actually better. They have so much flavor, and they don't taste burnt at all. So it's really, they're yummy. Who knew? All right, so let me get this back in. I'll just set it right there. Now for the truth. This is the important part. All right, let me get a knife and a fork and a plate and a spoon for the au jus, and let's see which one is better. The one that we used the TenderCrisp lid only, or where we used a combination of pressure cook and the TenderCrisp lid. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna test the one that we did the TenderCrisp lid on first, and that is because it was taken out a little bit sooner, so I'm gonna let that rest equal amount. You can see I put a little tray down to catch any drippings because I was tired of cleaning up my counter. All right, so here we go. Oh my gosh, I'm so afraid. The moment of truth. Now I'm gonna cut a thin slice here on the outside. I know that that's gonna be more done than the inside, but I want you to see that definitely. So, all right, looks good. It's pretty. Okay, so that would be medium, I would think. That would not be medium rare, that would be medium. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another slice out and go a little bit more towards the center here. Oh my goodness. Wow, that's beautiful. That is the beautiful color that I love to see. That looks gorgeous. That is perfectly cooked. Absolutely perfectly cooked. I am so excited right now. Wow. That looks great. I don't know if it's going to stand up anymore. It looks great. All right. Wow. I'm gonna put this back here because I'm not gonna eat that one. I'm gonna eat the one that is, and I'm not gonna eat this whole thing either. So I'm gonna go ahead and take some of this part back here and right through here and put that on my plate. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. All right, let's get that back there. Now, if you don't like your prime rib medium rare to rare, you would want to cook it longer. I mean, and you certainly can. There's no problems with that whatsoever. All right. Okay, let me clean my cutting board up a little bit because I'm going to go ahead and bring the other one up, cut that, compare it, and then we're going to taste them side by side, okay? All right, I'm gonna set this over here for now and get this other one up here. This is the one that we pressure cooked and then use the TenderCrisp lid. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I think it's really interesting, the different shape too, so. All right, let's get in here. Now, it's a little bit harder to cut, I will say that. But I think it's more because it's flopping around. Well, it's cooked nicely. Now it looks a little different on the inside. It really does. So that's interesting. Now it's a little less done on this end side, which is fine with me. It looks beautiful. It's cooked perfectly. So I really like the way it's cooked. That's gorgeous. It's going to be interesting to see. Obviously it's not as pretty, but again, I don't care if it's pretty or not pretty. I care about what it tastes like. So I'm going to cut this in half. And now for the moment of truth. Let me get this onto my plate and then I will clean this cutting board, bring my plate up, and we will try them out. They both look like they're cooked perfectly. So as far as that goes, no differences. This one took a little longer. You could probably pressure cook a little bit longer and then cut back on the time to crisp. But it took that long though to get this nice crust developed. So I'm still leaning towards this one, but let's find out. Okay, all right, so let's do the one that we use the TenderCrisp lid only, and I'm gonna get a piece back here, which is gonna have that really nice crust on it, be full of flavor. That's amazing. Wow. And so tender. Even though, you know, it's well done right there, it tastes so good and it is so tender. All right, here we go. Oh, moment of truth. Oh my goodness. That is so good. But, you know, I'm not really surprised about that. I knew that the Ninja Foodi would do a great job doing a similar process as the oven would do. So I'm not surprised, but it is really delicious. The crispy part on the top is, oh, so flavorful. The meat is really, really tender. It's perfectly cooked. It is definitely a winner. Now, this is the one that I've really been waiting to find out. So let me go ahead and take some of the part here that is overcooked a little bit and, you know, got that little, although I will tell you, even though it's overcooked and it looks like it's, you know, well done, on the inside, it's actually not. Interesting. Now, I'm not one that, I don't really like to eat the globs of fat that haven't rendered, so I'm not going to do that. But there is a little piece that is got that crispy edge on it. So let's see. Oh, this one I don't really know. To be honest, I would have never thought I would ever pressure cook a prime rib, but let's see. It's good, but it's not as good. So the flavors aren't as good as they are in this crust. We just didn't have enough time, I don't think, to develop that. The meat is pretty good. That tastes good. It's not chewy or anything, so that's a good thing. All right, let's get down here and see. It cuts even, I think, easier, honestly. All right, let's see. Wow. It's super tender. This is a hard one. You know what's really interesting is that this one is cold. And I guess that makes sense because we pressure cooked it, let it cool down, And then we just broiled the outside. So while the outside here is a little on the warmer side, the middle is on the colder side, even though it's cooked, and they're cooked, from what I can tell, identically. Well, I'm gonna try this one again here. This is the one that we only use the TenderCrisp lid. So much better. I'm sorry. That outside. So that wins right now, especially for the outside. Let me see about the meat a little bit more. Yeah, I'm definitely leaning towards the TenderCrisp only. Well, not TenderCrisp, TenderCrisp lid only. All right, so this is the one that we just did the TenderCrisp lid. Oh, it just looks amazing. That's good. All right. Let's see. Oh, no, that's good too. Let me try the au jus because I did say I would do that. Now I'm gonna mix it up a little bit here. See if I can get down to where the actual This is not my favorite thing in the world, I will tell you, but I said I would do it and I'm gonna do it. All right, there we go. See if that makes a difference. Maybe it will. It's too salty for me. Jeff would probably love this. It's just not my thing. But it's very flavorful. All right, so I'm gonna have Jeff taste these and he won't know which one. And then I'll let you know what his thoughts are and my final thoughts. All right, so Jeff tried them and he had his eyes closed and he thought that the pressure cooked one tasted better as far as the meat goes. So the actual meat. As far as the crust goes, hands down, the one that was air crisped won. The bottom line is they're very close. The outer crust on the one that we use, the TenderCrisp lid only, is better. There's no doubt about it. The fat is better rendered. It just gives you this really luxurious, tasty bite. As far as the meat goes though, there really isn't a whole lot of difference. They're both perfectly cooked. They both taste good. Personally, I think the one that we use the TenderCrisp lid on only, I think the meat itself has a better flavor, but it is so close. You could do either one of these techniques and be perfectly fine with your prime rib. I would make a few changes, which I will go over in my written post, and I will link to that below in the video description, because you know I have all of my recipes on my website and they can be printed out. So I'm gonna really think about this with timings and things that I might do differently and write up a little guide for you guys so that if you want to make it either with the pressure cook mode or the TenderCrisp mode only, that you can do that as well. So I think bottom line, what I would say is because of the time difference, it actually took a little bit longer to do the pressure cook one the way I did it. Now there's other ways to do it. You can speed it up, of course, but the way I did it, it took longer to develop the crust and it still wasn't developed enough, didn't have enough flavor. So I would use the TenderCrisp lid and make your prime rib that way. I just think it's a better end result.